The Grand Canyon, one of the seven natural wonders of the world and one of the most well-known national parks in the country. Millions of tourists travel from all over to view the expansive canyons from the rim, but the true wonders exist inside the canyon. The Colorado River lies at the base of the canyon with waterfalls, rapids, and rock cliffs that span thousands of feet into the sky. In 1869, a one-armed Civil War veteran named John Wesley Powell embarked on a 4-month-long scientific expedition down the Colorado River. He faced countless obstacles and endless hunger, which put the Grand Canyon in its rightful place as being one of the most impressive and dangerous rivers in the world. The Grand Canyon has been developed throughout the years as a sustainable hydroelectric energy source and an economic resource, which has created inevitable debate about the purpose of the canyon. While the river provides immense beauty, its agricultural, economic, and historical benefits are what makes it so unprecedented.
In May of 1871, John Wesley Powell embarked on a second 17-month expedition down the Colorado River.
Powell and his men were able to create the first maps of the river and its tributaries, which allowed for exploratory drilling for multiple dams throughout the canyon and beyond.
These studies led to finding the site for the Hoover Dam in 1920. The Hoover Dam was a major architectural achievement that was unheard of for its time due to the size and internal complexity.
In 1952, the governmental agency responsible for dams, called the Bureau of Reclamation, proposed constructing a dam in Echo Park on the Green River in Utah. While many people supported the building of dams for its renewable energy source, others were greatly against it, such as environmentalist Martin Lytton. Lytton spent the better part of his life advocating for the Grand Canyon. He partnered with the Sierra Club, a group who advocates for wild land, to fight against the construction of the Echo Park Dam, alongside the executive director of the club, David Brower. They successfully convinced Congress to vote against building this dam, with terms that the Sierra Club would never interfere with any future dam development. Arizona congressmen proposed a set of dams inside the Grand Canyon at mile markers 40 and 238 on the Colorado River. Martin Lytton and the Sierra Club believed that these dams would destroy the natural essence of the canyon. After the club voted to oppose the dams, Brower and Lytton made Grand Canyon photo albums and sent them to important politicians, made political cartoons against the Bureau of Reclamation, and got millions of citizens to send letters to their local governments. Due to the club's agreement to not oppose any more dam proposals, the IRS threatened to remove the Sierra Club's tax-exempt status as a nonprofit, which Brower then publicized. This outraged citizens, which resulted in a proposition that one dam would be built and another scrapped. Brower responded by saying, "One bullet to the heart is just as deadly as two." In 1968, Congress and the President signed a bill that excluded both dams, which signified a 12-year victory for Martin Lytton and the Sierra Club.
In 1966, the Glen Canyon Dam was completed as a hydroelectric power plant and a water storage source for the desert areas of Utah and Arizona. It is the second tallest gravity arch dam in the U.S. at 710 feet, which is 16 foot short of the Hoover Dam. The Glen Canyon Dam is also the first major dam that the seasonal snowmelt flows through. In the winter, dam management lets out enough water to accommodate the spring snowmelt, which is done by estimating the pace of the melt. The guesswork is usually accurate, but the spring of 1963 was quite different. Most ski areas in Colorado and Utah got over 50 feet of snow between October and May, which could have been countered by a typical snowmelt. The average temperature in May jumped from 31 to 63 degrees within 20 days, which caused Lake Powell to begin to fill faster than water could be let out of it. The dam technicians opened the emergency spillways on June 1st, which allowed 20,000 cubic feet per second of water to flow through the spillways. The spillways immediately began to reduce the water levels, which solved the problem, at least until June 6th. The two operators working the night shift at the dam noticed an eerie sound coming from the east spillway, which ended up causing an unprecedented problem in dam history. The water running through the spillway excavated the concrete walls and started carving out the bedrock it sits in. This damage could prove fatal to the dam, which created the decision to stop the spillway use. This caused the water to rise by almost an inch that day, which only gave the management days to solve the problem at hand. If the dam were to collapse, a 700-foot wall of water would race down the canyon, over the Hoover Dam, and flood thousands of miles of farming in the Salton Sink. To prevent the spillway gates from overflowing, engineers placed plywood braces on the top of the gates, which expanded the capacity of Lake Powell by 645,000 acre-feet. While this solution gave the team a few more weeks to work with, the plywood braces were far from waterproof. which made repairs nearly impossible. The final decision was to gradually increase the amount of water in the spillways, which eventually came to a point of 90,000 cubic feet per second. This was the most water to come through the dam since its inception in 1963. The water levels in Lake Powell finally began to lower in August of 1983, which signaled a slim victory for the dam. While the engineers and technicians on the Glen Canyon had a horrifying experience at high water, a Grand Canyon river guide, Kenton Grua, decided to take advantage of the high flow.
When Glen Canyon Dam was struggling to stay alive, 213 boats spanned the length of the canyon, completely unaware of the dangers at the dam. On June 25th, a large group of passenger motorboats arrived at Crystal Rapid, the biggest rapid in the canyon at 70,000 cubic feet per second. One of these boats, the Queen Mary, got stuck in the hydraulic jump wave and dumped all of its 33 passengers into the river. A smaller motor raft under the Tour West River Company entered the rapid, flipped in the 30-foot-tall standing wave, and again dumped its passengers into the river. As well as destroying the raft, an elderly passenger, Bill Wirt, passed away in the rapid. While chaos was unleashing at Crystal, Kenton Grua pulled all of his strings to get on the river. Grua was an experienced river guide who had always hoped to re-break his own Grand Canyon speed record of 48 hours. With the high flow, he thought he might have another chance. His first permit application got denied, so he and his employer, Martin Litton, called the National Park Superintendent, Richard Marks. With loads on his plate after the Crystal disaster, he said he would call back later with a response. Grua perceived this as, if he didn't call back, they could go. After not receiving a call, Kenton Grua, Rudy Petchek, and Steve Reynolds arrived at Lee's Ferry around 10 p.m. on June 25th, ready to set off on the dark river at 11 p.m. They switched off paddling down the Roaring Twenties, Nankoweap, Sockdogler, and Zora Roaster, all in the dark. They reached Crystal at 9:30 a.m., where a park ranger was standing at the scouting cliff, waiting for the next boat to come around the corner. That morning, the Park Service implemented a commercial closure on Crystal, which required all commercial trips to offload their passengers, and the lone guide to do the rapid on their own. Grua believed that their boat didn't apply to these rules because they didn't have any passengers. Paddling by without stopping to scout in itself is foolish, but at 70,000 CFS was almost impossible. Grua paddled down the normal entrance, but as they went over the fall, they realized they were headed straight for the hydraulic jump wave. They flipped in the wave, which put all 3 dorymen in the river. Rewriting their dory took an hour, which was a big disappointment for the men. After paddling through Waltenberg, lava, and separation, they finally reached Grand Wash Cliffs in 36 hours and 38 minutes, which broke Grua's previous record of just under 48 hours. This accomplishment went unparalleled until 2016, when the record was broken in a time of 35 hours and 5 minutes.
The Grand Canyon has been a highly regarded location for hundreds of years, due to its immense beauty, famed whitewater rafting, and its various economic resources. Environmentalists like Martin Litton, David Brower, Kenton Grua, and many others around the country perceive the Grand Canyon as being a natural wonder and that is best enjoyed untarnished, while the Bureau of Reclamation and other governmental agencies believe that the canyon is best utilized as a hydroelectric power source.
These different perspectives have fundamentally shaped the debate of how the canyon should be used.